I was telling you that you cannot really do algebra without talking about equations, right? So I'm going to take a little time this evening to talk about simple equations in particular, simple equations, right? But maybe even simple inequality, right? So you try to touch on both of these. So let's start talking about simple equations. Basically, these are equations where you have one unknown, right? One unknown. And they can be indeed, as the word says, simple, but they can get very complex too, even though they are called simple equations, right? And one of the things about equations, before I get into them, is you want to think of equations as, okay, uh, like a scale, you know, a scale. So if you have over here x plus 5, and that is equal to, well, because it's a scale, let's say you have -3, right? You want to think of it as a scale. And the key to solving equation has to do with whatever you do over here, you have to do over here to keep the balance, right? Keep that thought in mind. This illustration we're going to use throughout, right? You think of it as a scale, the equal sign, like you have x plus 5 equal to -3, right? Think of it as a scale. This is in one pan, and this is in the other pan. So whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side, the exact thing, so that it remains balanced. We are going to talk about some shortcuts where, you don't have to show what you're doing, right? You can use some shortcuts in solving equations, and those are perfectly acceptable. Because as you develop experience, you realize that, man, doing the long way where you're showing all the steps is kind of time consuming. You know, you don't need to show all the steps, right? You'll come to that, don't worry. But so let's look at some examples, and starting from the very simple one. Let's say you're asked to solve something like this. X plus, oh, the one that we had here already. X plus 5 equal to -3. So you want to get the value of x. That's what you mean. Sometimes you see it there, they make the statement, solve for x. That's what you mean. In other words, they want you to find the value of x, right? So in other words, you want to know what number, when I add to 5, will give you -3. And some people by inspection can tell that number. Anybody can watch this and tell me what x could be. What number, when you add it to 5, gives you -3? Anybody can watch it and say? Huh? Nobody can watch that and say? You can watch it, right? You see, x can be -8, right? -8 plus 5 will give you -3. Well, let's see what system we can use to get x, right? So what we could do, we can,
Sir,
you have x plus 5. We can actually subtract 5 from both sides, right? So subtract 5 from both sides.
sorry, finish. I have a question.
So you take x plus 5 minus 5 equals to -3 minus 5. Remember what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So you have x equal negative 3. Right? Some people use a shortcut. Right? They use a shortcut. So they take x plus 5 equal minus 3. And this is what it is. We take the 5 over and you change plus to minus. And you end up with x equal negative 3 minus 5. X equal minus 3. Perfectly acceptable.
Yes, sir. I did work it out in the shortcut and I get the answer.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's the question?
Okay, so before you explained all of that, in order to get -8, I just put like -3 minus 5 because I'll just look at the equation, right? And once it go over the sign, the switch. See if you understand where I'm coming from. Can
Yeah,
I do that?
that's
All
what
the
we did there. Yeah.
Oh, well, cool. All right, thanks.
Let's go with, you got to get more complex as we go along, right? So let's say we have something like this thing. X minus 3 equal to negative 5. Let's say that thing. So you have to solve for x, right? So now in this case, you have not a positive 3, you have a negative 3. So to get rid of that, you have to add 3 now, right? So plus 3 would be plus 3 over here, right? So these two will go out, and you will end up with x equal, and you add that up, you get minus 3. Right? Shortcut, some people like this. Take x minus 3 equal minus 5. Take the minus 3 over. Change the minus to plus. Right? And you end up with x equal minus 5 plus 3. Right? Follow this one? Follow it?
Yes, sir.
Let's get a little more technical. 2 minus x equal to minus 4. Right? So you have to solve for x, right? So notice here, what would you do now? Well, there are more than one ways you can do this. Right? Of course, you can get rid of the 2 from this side by subtracting 2 both sides. So 2 minus 2 minus x equal to minus 4 minus 2. And these two will go out. 2 minus 2 is 0. We have minus x equal to minus 6. When you reach here now, what you could do is multiply throughout by a negative number, right? Negative 1. So take minus x and multiply everything, right? Minus 1. So minus 1 by minus x will give you x. Minus 6 by minus 1 will give you positive 6. That's one approach, right? It's one approach. I'm not gonna do the shortcut, right? I know you should get it, but all right, let me do the shortcut. Shortcut. Right? So you take, you bring the 2 over here, change the sign, so you get minus x equal minus 4 minus 2, so minus x equal minus 6. And the same thing you do here, right? You can mentally multiply by minus 1, so that implies that x equals 6. This one is tricky, huh? There's an alternative approach I'll show you now. So you have to solve, how is it? 2 minus x equal minus 4. What you could do, and I'm going to use the shortcut approach, bring this minus x over here, right? And take this minus 4 over here. So you will end up with, well, okay, this minus will change the plus, and down here, minus change the plus as well, right? Plus. So you end up with, put that away. You will end up with 2 plus 4 equal to x. So x equals 6. Get this one? You get this one?
Yes, sir.
Shortcut, yeah? Let's deal with one that has something else inside it. We dealt with equations that had addition and subtraction. Look at this one. Here, the 3 is connected to the x by a multiplication sign. So what we need to do here is divide throughout by the 3 to get rid of it. So divide throughout by 3 and you get 1. That will go with that. We end up with x equal to 6. Right? Shortcut. If you have 3x equal to 18, sorry, you just bring down the 3 and divide, right? So you have x equal 18 divided by 3. If you follow that one,
Yes, sir.
what about if we have a combination of, that's this thing, right? We have to solve 2x plus 1 equal to -2. Look at that. So here you have a combination of multiplication as well as addition because you have 2x. So those two are multiplying and you have plus 1, right? And you have more than one ways of doing it, right? You can decide to get rid of this 1 first by subtracting 1 from both sides, right? Or if you like the shortcut, take this over here, right? Change plus to minus, so you're left with 2x equal to minus 2 minus 1. 2x then equal minus 3, right? Next, divide throughout by 2, you get right, so these two will cancel out, and you end up with x equal -3/2, which is -1.5 if you want to write it like that. Let's try another one. So okay, let's say you have to solve one like this. 5 minus 2x equals to 8. Right? So what you could do, you could bring the minus 2x over here and take the 8 over there, right? And you know you will change the sign and so I'll skip all of that. You have 5 minus 8 equals positive 2x, right? Because negative changes to a positive, right? So there's a plus sign here, even though you don't see it. So when you take it over, you get negative. The minus sign, well, you can see that. When you take it over, it becomes a plus. Right? You don't write a plus here. Good. So now you have negative 3 equal to 2x. The next step is divide throughout. Right? Take that 2 around and divide. We end up with minus 3 over 2 equal to x. And you can write that as x equals negative 1.5. Tell me if you're following all along.
Yes, sir.
It's going to get a little more complicated. Let's see another one. Let's say you have this one. 2 bracket x plus 1 equal to 5. So you do this more than one ways. Some people would normally remove the brackets. So you have it using the distributive law, and I think we did that. So you have 2x plus 2 equal to 5. And then it resembles what we were doing all along. Right? And then we take the 2 over. We end up with 2x equals 5 minus 2. That is plus 2 here. So you have 2x equal to 3. X then is equal to 3 over 2, right? I'm kind of leaving out all the arrows and so because eventually when you are writing your solution, you don't have to do that. So x then is equals to 1.5. You can actually do it this way too. This might be a little difficult for you, especially if you're afraid of fraction. You can divide throughout by 2. So look at this. Divide throughout by 2 first. You can do that. You have x plus 1 equals 5 divided by 2, right? And then you take over the 1 and subtract. So you have x equals 5 over 2 minus 1, which is also equal to 1.5 or 3 over 2. Right? 5 over 2 is 2.5. 2.5 minus 1 is 1.5. Following so far? It's getting more complicated now. Solve for x. Look at this one. 2x minus 1 equals x minus 5. Look at that. What do we do here? So what we could do is we could get all the x's on one side and get all the constants on the other side. Right? So we can take the x over here, and we can take this minus 1 over here, right? So you'll get 2x. There's positive x here, so you're going to go over here minus x. This was minus 1 here, so when you bring it over, it's going to be positive 1. So you end up with 2x minus x is x. 1 minus 5 is minus 4. Right? You can get even more complicated one. Let's try another one. 5 minus 2 bracket x minus 1 equal to 4. Let's say that. You have to solve it. Right? Several ways you can do it. Let's say you remove the bracket first. And don't make the mistake of subtracting 2 from 5 first. Right? Subtraction is the last operation you're supposed to do. You remove the bracket first. You get 5 minus 2 by x will give you minus 2x, right? Minus 2 by this negative value plus 2 equal to 4. So now we can add this 5 and this 2 and you get 7 minus 2x equal to 4. What I will do, I will take this minus 2x over here and I will bring this 4 over here. So I'll have 7 minus 4 equal to positive 3. 7 minus 4 is 3. And why are all my answers what? No, it's not 1.5. This time you're gonna be, yeah, say 1.5. So I bring the 2 down now and divide. So you have 3 over 2 equal to x. So x then is equal to 1.5. All my answers seem to be 1.5. I wonder why. What's happening tonight? Like I'm there 1.5 roti to eat tonight. All right. Good. Let's do one that might involve division now. Because from here you might want to end up with fractions and all. So let's say you have x over 3 equal to 5. Right? So here, so you have to solve this. Solve. Oh, what's happening there? Yeah. You have to solve this. Solve for x. Right? So here you have x over 3. You can multiply over here by 3. And you can multiply over here by 3. Right? This 3 and that 3 will go. And you end up with x equals 15. Right? Here's a shortcut thing they do sometimes. Let me show you the shortcut. They put x over 3 and they put 5 over 1. And they have a thing where they call it cross multiplication. It's allowed. And you get that. So you end up with 1 multiplied by x is x. 3 multiplied by 5 equals 15. And you're done. Try another one. Solve for x. 2x over 7 equals to 4. Right? So again, you can use the shortcut. Put this over 1. Cross multiply like that. So you get 2x equals 7 4 is 28. And then you bring this 2 down and you divide. So x equals 28 over 3. So it's 7 equals 14. Huh? Puzzling you or you're getting it?
This one is simpler, sir.
Simple, yeah, nice. It can get a little funny too, like if you have this. 2 over x equal to, let's say 1/3, right? Okay. Right? So in this case, you can do your literal, what do you call it, cross multiplying, so you get 6 is equals to x, right? X is 6. Let's try another. 1 over 2x is equals to 2 over 3. Right? So cross multiply, you end up with 3 is equals to 4x. Divide through all by 4, you get 3 over 4 equal to 4. Right? You can write that back as x equals 3 over 4. What about if you were to encounter fractions now? Fraction. What happens now? Let's try one. Solve for x. X over 5 minus 3 over 7 equal to 1 over 5. And there are several ways you can do this, right? I'll do it more than one. One way we can multiply everything by the LCM. Multiply everything by the LCM of 5 and 7, which is 25, right? If we do that, 25 by this here will become 7x minus 7 by 25 will give us 15, right? And 1/5 by 25 will give us 7, right? And now it resembles something we were dealing with, right? Bring this over here, you end up with 7x is equal to 7 plus 15. So 7x equal, what's that? 7 and 15. 22. Right? X then is equal to 22 over 7, which is, what's that? 3 and 1, 7. That's one way. That's one way. But there are always several ways you can do it, right? So what you can do, you can take this 3/7 over here. Let's do that. Let's try back a different way now. So x over 5 will be equal to 1/5 plus 3/7, right? Add these two up, right? So you get x over 5. How would I? LCM is 25. So you have 5 and 25, 7 times 1, 7. 7 25, 5, 5 3 is 15. So you end up with x over 5 equal 22 over 25, right? You can now cross multiply. And this is the ugly part. You get some big numbers in 35x equal, what's 22 by 5? Anybody multiply to me? 22 multiplied by 5. Huh?
110, sir.
How much? Set one more
110.
110.
1.
So x then will be 110 divided by 25. And you should have 3 and 1 second. And you break that down. So that's an alternative, but we have some horribly big numbers to work. And they can get more complicated as we go on. Let's see another one. The last one I'll do. Solve for x 7 over 8. And let's say you put the x there. Minus a quarter equal, let's say 1 over 4x plus 11 over 4. That's just it. Right? So what the people would usually do is put the x on top. Put the x on top. So you have 7x over 8 minus a quarter equal to x over 4 plus 11 over 4. Right? So again, you can do this in more than one ways, right? You can bring all the x's together, bring this over here, take this over here. You have 7x over 8 minus x over 4, which is equals to, bring this quarter over here, the positive a quarter plus 11 over 4. Right? So you can find the LCM here. LCM is 8. 8 into 8, 1. 8 by 7x is 7x. Minus 4 into 8, 2. 2 times x is 2x. Over here now, well, you have the same LCM already. So it's just 1 plus 11. Right? So all of this turns out to be, let's see if I can make some more space here. All of this comes up here and becomes 5x over 8 is equals to, what's that? 12 over 4. Right? You want to break that down, no problem. 5x over 8 is equals to 3 over 12 over 4 is 3, right? So you can put this over 1 and then cross multiply. So you get 5x equal to 8 by 3 is 24. X then is equals to 24 over 5, which is 5 4 is 20 and 4 is 50. So that's a little introduction to simplification here. I didn't want, we did all that algebra, we did all that transposing and so on. And you never, solve equations in a class. So even though it's not explicit in your course outline to say you have to do equations, I included it because you must have a sense of how to solve equations, or else it's not like you didn't do a math course, right? So let me go over to inequalities a little. Simple inequality. And there's a simple rule that you have to remember, right? And this is the rule. Simple inequalities are solved just as you would solve simple equation, except, and this is the only exception, except when you multiply, or divide throughout by a negative number, the inequality sign is turned around. What do I mean by all of it? Let me show you what an inequality is. So an inequality basically, if you have an equation, right? You are asked to solve for x or find a range. So you see this phrasing. Find, that's wrong with it. Find the range of values of x. That's what you might tell. Because in this case, x is not just one value. In equations, x is just one value. But with inequalities, x can take on several values. So let's say you have, okay, x plus 1 is greater than 5. Right? Well, we solve it just like you would solve the equation. Take the 1 over. So x then is greater than 5 minus 1. X then is greater than 4. That's it. Right? That's what I mean. You have 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to 2. Right? Sounds like you would normally solve the equation. Take the minus 1 over. But 2x is less than or equal to 2 plus 1. 2x is less than or equal to 3. X then is less than or equal to 3 over 2. Right? X is less than or equal to 1.5 if you want to like that. That way. Whatever, all of my answers 1.5 again. Good. Let me show you that thing about turning around the inequality sign. Let's say you have something. 2 minus x is greater than 4. Let's see. To solve this, maybe you are right to take the 2 over. So you end up with minus x is greater than 4 minus 2. So minus x is greater than 2. But you don't want minus x, you want x. So you have to multiply throughout or divide throughout by minus 1. When you do that now, the minus x greater than 2. When you okay, I think turn on the equality sign. Right now. By the time you multiply, so minus x multiplied by negative 1. Turn along the inequality sign. 2 multiplied by 9. So you end up with x plus minus x and minus 1. Positive x. You turn around the inequality sign. And then you have minus. Right? If you don't turn around the inequality sign, right? If you had okay, what? If you don't turn it around, what? You will have x is greater than minus 2. Right? And let me take a number greater than minus 2. Let's take 0. What? I put 0 here. 2 minus 0 is 2. Is 2 greater than 4? No. So that's why we have to turn around the inequality sign. But look now. If we take a number less than minus 3, let me take minus 3. So you will have 2 minus 2 minus 3. That will be what? That will be 5, right? And that is greater than 4. You see why you have to turn around the inequality sign? And that's all to it. You do it just like you would solve equations, but you simply turn around the inequality sign. Right? So what we're gonna do, we'll take a pause there because we're gonna change gears a little.